When you break your heart for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you humble yourself, and you realize you're wrong, and you're committed to change, Hashem says your prayer will always be accepted. Now, how do we know that real tshuva is always accepted? If we go to the... Okay, thank you. If we go to the book of Chronicles 2, chapter 33, it talks about one of the kings of Israel, time of the Beit HaMikdash. It says, his name was Menashe. Menashe was the son of Chizkiyahu. Chizkiyahu was Kodesh Kodashim. So much so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make a Mashiach. Oh, there's a pasuk in the Torah that says HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make a Mashiach, but then the Mekatreg, the Satan, came and convinced Hashem otherwise. Because of one tiny little slip-up. In his level, it was big. In our level, it's not even a sin. One tiny slip-up, and Mashiach didn't come. Mamash, we were literally 1 second away from Mashiach coming. Several times throughout history. No Holocaust, no Inquisition, no nothing. One little slip-up. Didn't sanctify Kadosh Baruch Hu's name one time. Chizkiyahu Melech was so holy, the Gemara in Moed Katan says, when they buried him with a Sefer Torah. You're not allowed to do that. But Chizkiyahu was so holy, they said it's the same thing. The Sefer Torah and Chizkiyahu, it's both Sefer Torah. But after that, not allowed. Why? Nobody is that holy. But Chizkiyahu is that holy, Sefer Torah. Mamash. But his son, Rasha Merusha, Menashe. So much so, Torah says, this Menashe was the king after Chizkiyahu. He did what was evil in the eyes of Hashem, like the abomination of the nations that Hashem had driven out before the children of Israel. He rebuilt the high places that his father Chizkiyahu had broken. All of the Avodah Zarah that his father destroyed, he rebuilt it. He brought Avodah Zarah everywhere. It also says, in the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, everywhere he saw the name of Hashem, he erased it. You're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. He erased it every way he could. He committed incest. He committed murder. He murdered the Gedol Adol, his grandfather, Yeshayahu, Isaiah, the whole book of Isaiah. It's his grandfather. He murdered him, cut him to pieces. Murder, rape, incest, idolatry, every sin you can possibly imagine. But then it says, in verse number 10, that Hashem spoke to Menashe and his people, but they didn't listen. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the next step. Says, so Hashem brought against them the officers of the king of Assyria's army, and they captured Menashe with hunting hooks, and bound him to chains and led him off to Babylonia. They took Menashe, they put him in a huge pot, and they started cooking him in Iraq, in Babylon. Started cooking him, started to eat him. They were cannibals. Initially, Gemara says that Menashe started praying to his idols. Buddha, Baba, all the stuff. J.C. Penney, everything you want. Idols don't talk. They have mouths but they don't speak. They have eyes but they can't see. They have ears but they can't hear. Nothing. They can't do nothing. He tried every idol in the book, didn't work. And then it says, but in his distress, he beseeched Hashem his God. And he humbled himself greatly before God of his fathers. And he prayed to him, and he was entreated by him, and heard his supplications. And he returned to Jerusalem, to his kingship. And then Menashe realized that Hashem is God. What happened here? Menashe, after committing all the crimes in the world, prayed to the idols. It didn't answer. So then he says, you know what? Hashem, if you're really there, if you really exist, you're going to save me right now. If not, you're nothing. all of the malachim shut their gates. It says this chutzpan, menuval, despicable, rude person, rasha merusha, that made every sin in the world, now he wants to, what? Do tshuva but give Hashem conditions? Like, if you answer my prayers now, then you're okay. If not, you're nothing. None of the angels wanted to have his prayers go to Hashem. But Menashe meant seriously. His heart broke. He humbled himself. He became nothing. He knew this is his only chance. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him himself. When you break your heart for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you humble yourself, and you realize you're wrong, and you're committed to change, Hashem says, your prayer will always be accepted. Even when all the traditional ways don't work, you cry, by committing to become better, I'll accept your prayer. You commit to be better. That's why many times you see certain miracles that have happened to certain people. Many famous rabbis had this even televised. A woman had no ability to have kids. She comes to a lecture, the rabbi tells her, put kisui roshan. Put kisui roshan, keep mitzvot, you can have a kid. She goes, what do you mean? What, just putting this piece of towel on my head and keep a couple of mitzvot, that's going to change my body? The doctor said there's zero chance of having kids. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says otherwise. They do it, they come back a year later with a little baby. I've seen it with my own eyes. I had a couple come to me, said they've been married for 5 years. 5 years they're married, no kids, trying, no kids, doesn't work. Doctor said nothing. I said, okay, let's do this one mitzvah. What mitzvah? Let's follow the halacha, do chuppah and kiddushin, keep Shabbat. Because what? So I'm going to sleep all day on Shabbat, maybe eat some chulent, and then I'm going to have a couple of guys sit there in my chuppah, say amen, the rabbi is going to bless us, that's going to change my body, that's going to change my wife's body, all of a sudden we're going to have kids. I said, listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to do it, you do it. Your wife's going to go to mikveh? What, to go in a pool? That's going to change her body? To go in a pool? She can go to the pool right now. I said, no, not the pool. You go to mikveh. At the time of the month, she is allowed to go to mikveh. Okay, so she goes to a pool. They don't understand, so they call the pool. And we sleep all day and eat some chulent on Shabbat, and just don't drive. And what else? You put the little mitpachat or something? You put this towel on your head? That's all going to change our body? All of a sudden we're going to have kids? What is this, magic? I said, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. Tamim tiyem Hashem. You want to do it? Let's try it. 10 months later, right after the wedding, chuppah kiddushin, 10 months later, little baby. 9 months later. Chuppah kiddushin, baby. On the day they got married, worked. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu said it's going to work, but the doctor said no. Who's the doctor? Who's the doctor? Who's the doctor? Who is he? Make to call the shots? You know how many miracles you see every single day? You do what Kadosh Baruch Hu says. You cry to Kadosh Baruch Hu. You commit to do better. Commit to do better. Countless things you see every single day. That's TeShuva, Rabotai. Menashe did TeShuva, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepted him to such an extent that when he cried to HaKadosh Baruch Hu took that huge pot that he was boiling in and miraculously made it fly in the air. And it flew all the way from Iraq, from Babylon, all the way to Yerushalayim. It was the first UFO. That's what happened. That's what it says. How are you going to leave all these terrorists trying to kill you, eat you? How are you going to leave? You tell my guys, listen, I'm not kosher. Don't eat me. What happened? Torah says, Mamash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered his prayers. He took this pot, it flew all the way to Yerushalayim. Landed back in his castle, protected all of his sergeant and everything, but all of a sudden he's a tzaddik. Why? He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is God. Who else could have done what just happened? He became a big Kiruv personality, made everybody start doing tshuva. Unfortunately, his son, Amon never did tshuva, became a bigger rasha than he used to be. And because he didn't want to do tshuva, Amon, he did not humble himself before Hashem, as his father Menashe had humbled himself. For he, Amon, incurred much guilt Eventually, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "You're out of time." And his servants conspired against him and killed him in his own palace. Haman's pride did not allow him to do tshuva, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed him with his own gava. How? All of the people that used to work for him and say, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, your highness, yes, your highness," they ended up cutting him into pieces. Gavat adam tashpilenu. The pride of man leads to his fall. His father humbled himself, said, "I'm wrong, I'm going to do tshuva."
I urge you to open up your heart, open up your wallet, support this incredible cause by donating. You're not only helping others, but you're also opening the door to divine blessings in your own life by really setting Hashem's children on the right track. Let's make a difference together, one person at a time. Thank you, and may Hashem bless all the sponsors and grow the Bezrat Hashem organization.